Welcome to The Collaborative. I'm your host, Sydnee Walker, along with Aaron Mulligan serving as guest co-host. Today, we are joined by Bryan Hoch. Hoch is a New York Yankees beat reporter for MLB.com, where he has covered New York baseball for the past 2 decades. Bryan is seen on the MLB Network, the Yes Network, and can be heard on various radio stations throughout the U.S. In addition to reporting, he writes the Yankee newsletters for MLB.com, which consists of anything and everything related to the team. Additionally, he's the author of The Baby Bombers, the inside story of the Next Yankees Dynasty, the Bronx Zoom, inside the New York Yankees Most Bizarre season, and the newly released 62, Aaron Judge, the New York Yankees in the Pursuit of Greatness. Bryan is respected by many Yankees players and coaches from the past and present, and is a fan favorite on social media, where he posts game recaps called the Hokey Pokey and Hokey Happy Hour. Welcome.
Thank you.
So first up, we'll have Sid's This or That Ballpark Edition. I'll give you a few options and you'll tell me your preference.
Okay.
So first we have hot dog or burger.
I'll go with a burger on that one. Yeah. Which you wouldn't think for somebody who spends as much time at the ballpark as I do.
I'm going with hamburger as well.
All right.
Cracker Jack or peanuts?
Cracker Jack, a little sweeter. Salty sweet.
Yes. Popcorn or pretzel?
How about a pretzel? Let me go with the pretzel.
I'm the same way. No matter what game I go to, I'm getting a pretzel.
There you go. Because you can't put mustard on popcorn. Or at least you shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't. And last but not least, cotton candy or Dippin' Dots?
Dippin' Dots. It is the ice cream of the future, after all.
Ooh, I got to go with cotton candy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we were 3 for 4 there. That's pretty good.
Thank you for answering those.
Thanks, Sydnee. Hey, Bryan, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, hi, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So just to kick things off, let's talk about your sports media inspiration. What was it that made you want to pursue a career in this industry?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you got to go back to when I was growing up, and I loved baseball. I was passionate about it. And I was fortunate to come around right when the internet first became a thing. And we're talking like the wild, wild west days of the dial-up internet and all that. And there was a Yankees.com at the time. There wasn't a Mets.com, and the Mets were actually my first favorite team. So as a 14-year-old, I was a freshman in high school. I started what today we would call a blog, although we didn't really call them that yet. It was just a website, and I would post my thoughts about the team, game recaps, that kind of stuff. And it started to gain a following, and it was a couple dozen people, and then that became 100, and then it kind of snowballed into 1,000 and a few thousand. And before I knew it, I had an audience that, believe it or not, didn't know how old I was, first of all, and second of all, kept reading me every single day. So that kind of told me that this is something that maybe I could do as a career. And so while I was in high school, I had started my writing, and it really solidified for me that once I got to college, this was something I wanted to pursue.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great, because I think, there's a lot of people in this group right now that are aspiring reporters or writers, and starting in high school kind of is a foundation for a lot of people. So thanks for telling us about that.
Awesome.
But speaking of that Mets blog that you did, is that something that you believe made you more unique to employers, or is that something that you would suggest young journalists to do?
Well, I definitely think that the earlier you can start writing, I mean, it's like anything, any kind of practice, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the more reps you have, the more opportunities will open up. So I think that now the landscape has changed a lot, obviously, since 1997 when I was doing it. Now social media is really kind of the equalizer, I feel like, where everybody could have a podcast or can have their own channel on YouTube, or even just making TikToks and that kind of stuff. I think that it's all part of this media landscape here where it's not just one thing anymore, where, back in the day, you might go to college and say, I'm going to be a writer, and that means I'm only going to write for the newspaper, and that's my only goal. I write, I do videos, I do podcasts. You're kind of doing a little bit of everything. You're doing on camera, you're doing voiceover with like audio only. That's basically radio in a lot of ways. So I feel like you'd have to have the skill set to be able to be flexible and go out and, at the core of it, what we're doing is telling stories, and we're using different mediums to tell those stories. Sometimes the written word is the best way to do it, but sometimes a quick little, 30-second clip on Twitter is just enough too to kind of tell a story and get it out there. So I think there's no one right way to do it. And I think that you guys now getting your feet wet here, it's great because you have so many different opportunities and different things to explore with and experiment with and see what is going to click for you and where you feel most comfortable, and continue to kind of learn how to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different outlets. If people prefer audio or prefer just video, there's so many different options for all of us. It's kind of overwhelming a little bit at times, but it's very cool. We're very fortunate. But speaking of all those different mediums, we wanted to talk about how you developed a personal relationship with Derek Jeter during his career. And since there are so many different mediums, there's so many different people who want interviews, different types of reporters. How do you gain the trust of an athlete, especially one like Jeter, who was one of the most private people to be in the spotlight?
Yeah, for sure. I think 90% of it is just showing up and being there every day and being accountable. I think that, I started covering Derek in 2007. That was my first year on the Yankee beat. I was a rookie beat reporter. I was 24 years old. And, I was just a kid, and I was another face in the crowd for a while. And then I think as you continue to show up, and obviously he was there, he could see me from day one of spring training, and then when the Yankees would open the regular season, and then when we went on the road, I was there every single day. And I think that when you start to recognize that, hey, this is now a guy who's going to be traveling with us, I'm going to be seeing this guy a lot. I mean, I can't speak for Derek, but I would guess that at some point you start to say, hey, who is that guy? Why is he here every day? And then you find out and you learn. And then we started having conversations, and we kind of got to know each other on a personal level. And that happened a lot with a lot of different guys. And I feel like that is so important in sports media, because we're storytellers, like I said before. And part of that is gaining the trust and the understanding of the people, the subjects that you're talking about. And to be able to kind of tell their story, you have to have some kind of personal relationship with them, and not just be one guy who comes in one day and sticks a microphone in their face, gets a sound bite, and then leaves. I think that, look, there is a place for that. I mean, certainly sometimes that's what you have to do. But I feel like especially when you're on a beat and you're covering these guys day in, day out, the highs and the lows, that's where you really start to build the relationships, gain people's trust, and kind of get to know what makes them tick behind the scenes. Because, I feel like what you see on television is only a small fraction of who these guys are behind the scenes. So getting to know what their routines look like, how they interact with their teammates, are they loud, are they quiet in the clubhouse? These are all things that can inform your reporting in a lot of ways. And, how is their relationship with other guys on the team? Are they popular? Are they not popular? I think that you get a much better read just by being around every single day. And there's no substitute for that. And that's what hurt us, especially during the Zoom year, where we kind of were flying blind. And we had the quotes. We talked to them on Zoom, but I couldn't see how they really handled their day-to-day business. And I feel like we were able to get through it, but we were kind of playing for the tie in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. I felt like my work during 2020 and 2021 was almost like a C or a B minus compared to where I wanted it to be.
You're right about showing up. I liked what you said about that. It made me actually think of John Boy and Jake and talking and everything, because they were always I followed them before they were on the Yes Network, and they were always at the games. They were always interacting with the players as much as they could, and now they have their own show. So it's very telling. if you just keep doing that, and you're nice to the athletes too. You do come across as a huge family man, and you really allowing Yankee fans to watch your daughters grow up on your Instagram and your social media. Love watching Penny on her little shows and everything. She's so into
Thank you.
And, we've asked this question on the collaborative before and have gotten different answers. But how do you balance work and family and your personal life during the longevity of baseball season?
It's not easy. You do the best you can to try and carve out time when possible, but it's definitely not easy, and it's a balancing act because especially during the season, baseball, it's a commitment. Baseball season starts in around Valentine's Day and continues up until October, November, and so it can definitely dominate most of your year. And when I go to the ballpark, generally speaking, for a night game, if it's a 7 o'clock, I'm getting to the game at 3. I'm getting to the park at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm leaving probably 2 hours after the game ends. So that's a pretty long day. I mean, it could be 12 to 14 hours. And I think that you definitely have to make sure to prioritize what's important. And it's been great for us because we've tried to travel with the kids and with my wife Connie as much as we possibly can. So especially if we can drive to some of the road trips, my company MLB.com, they don't care how I get there as long as I get there. So we've driven to Boston and to Baltimore and even like Chicago and Milwaukee. Like we've definitely put some miles on the car just because otherwise, I'd be away for that entire road trip. And so this is a way that we can kind of share it together, and the kids obviously enjoy living in a hotel and getting to experience hotel life, so they get a kick out of it, and they get to do some sightseeing, and that's great. So they can do that while I'm at the ballpark. But otherwise it would be kind of lonely, I think, traveling and missing out on everything. So even if I'm only seeing them in the mornings and when I get back late at night, hopefully they're asleep, knock on wood, it's definitely better than the alternative.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really refreshing to hear you say something like that. That was always my parents' philosophy. My mom is a teacher, so she would bring me to teachers convention, and
Oh, wow.
everything that if they had to go do something, they would bring my sister and I. So it's nice to hear that because you're prioritizing obviously your job, but also family. So it's nice to hear it. I just wanted to add in congratulations about 62. Great timing.
Thank you.
To interview you. And I hope it's going well, the whole release and everything.
It's been busy. It's been hectic, and this is kind of like release week. So I've been kind of wall to wall doing in-person appearances, doing as many radio and TV spots to get it out there. My publisher obviously wants it to be on the bestseller list, so we're trying to push as hard as we can to get as many people to know about the book as we can. And so it would have been great if Aaron hadn't run through a wall in Los Angeles. That might have helped our chances here, but we're doing the best we can. I think it's still a great story. Obviously a historic year with Judge setting the single season home run record, and just putting his name alongside Babe Ruth and Roger Maris as the other two men to hold this single season record. I feel like it was a great story to tell. I had a blast with it, and I'm very proud of how the product came out. But yeah, definitely book release week has been a blitz, and it's a blur, and I feel like I haven't stopped talking. So when this is all over, I'm probably going to take a pretty long break for it. Although the Yankees might not let me do that anyway. So there's always another story to tell.
Yeah, hopefully they don't give you a break, go all the way.
No, I don't think so, actually. This is the break with the All-Star break. And so I've been very busy with it. And then it'll be right back to it on Friday in Colorado.
Good, yeah. I mean, it must have been thrilling to write about it. And I mean, I couldn't control myself on my couch. So to write about it, to witness it right there, must have been awesome.
Bryan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us. I really enjoyed hearing from you and all of your insights and how you especially talked about showing up, holding yourself accountable, and the little work you put in will go a long way. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.